All right, so welcome back to Monsters of Design. We got another episode featuring the monster known as Imposter. This monster puts the imposter
Wait,
in the imposter syndrome. I think it's like short and sweet, but you know, there's a syndrome that this monster instills in all of us, unfortunately, from time to time, and that is the imposter syndrome. And so we talk with a good friend of mine, who I worked with a little while back, and he's an art director at a company called Product Plan. He's a really great visual designer. He's a great product designer. He's a thoughtful, wonderful, lovely human being. And I think he's a great, honestly, I think anybody can talk about this monster. It's something that we all identify with, and I really like the conversation that we just had with him. So super excited to get into it.
What's awesome with Adrian is, dear soul, sweet gent,
Sweet boy.
good lad. He helps us kind of break down the component parts of imposter syndrome, and in kind of outlining some of his experience with it, we can identify some of the things that feed into imposter syndrome, and we kind of start asking, like, okay, what does it look like to have a relationship with imposter syndrome? Because it sounds like it maybe doesn't go away. So how do you have a relationship with it? We also, talk a little bit about disc golf. I at some point make it about dinosaurs.
A little bit. We talk a lot about disc golf.
We talk,
which is a good thing.
Yeah,
it's a great convo.
Good. We went off-roading. Anyways, stoked for y'all to listen. John, anything else?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful conversation about this imposter monster, and then we get into some of our favorite monsters as usual. And it's a little bit different this time. I think it was a more of a nuanced conversation about our favorite monsters. Yours is the farthest thing from nuanced.
Yeah,
and
yours and Adrian's has nuance.
Some nuance there. Yeah.
The opposite of that.
So yeah, stay tuned.
All
fun
right,
little ending, and let's get into it. Let's give Adrian the warmest of welcomes to the Monsters of Design podcast, the Mod Pod. Welcome, Adrian. We're so happy to have you here.
It's a little surreal that I'm here. And to talk about imposter syndrome, it's going to be great, but I think it goes hand in hand because I don't feel like I have much to contribute. That's like my imposter syndrome. So very nervous.
You know what?
So we're gonna get through it though.
Yes, and I'm gonna read something to kick this off. It's gonna be like a meditative moment right now. I sent this to Adrian the other day, and I thought it was so perfect. One of our designers posted it in our Slack channel, and it says it's a tweet. And it's a tweet by someone named ESO, and his Twitter handle, if you want to follow him, is Cool Urban Hippie. And he posted, "We think our quote-unquote work is the job we go to or the place we get a check from. No, your work is the very special thing that you add to this world. Your vision, your light, your love, what you share, what you create, how you make people feel, etc. That, my friends, is truly our, in all caps, work." So, boom. I think that was wonderful. That's a good way to start off this imposter episode.
No, that's very wonderful. And also just, it's probably going to get emotional too. I'm a very emotional guy.
As it should.
And I tend to I just love that one. It's just like how you lead your life, how you're there for your team and for the peeps that you not only manage, but work with your peers. That is what work is. And yeah, it comes down to the pixels that we move or the deliverables or the tests that we run. But really it's the people and then how we interact together just to get stuff done. I don't know if we can cuss. So I'm a big, I have a,
believe me, that's what Brian's here for. So yeah.
Okay. I do have a bad mouth.
He puts the,
but I can put
Brian puts the E in explicit. So I don't know what that means,
right.
But yeah.
Let's go.
Well, even like, so with that kind of like taking that cue, but even like reeling it back a little bit, like the idea of work isn't about the paycheck we get, but it's like who we are. Like, to kind of intro you to everyone out there who's listening to this, I'll kick it off. But Adrian, you and I worked together at MindBody back in the day. That's how we met.
Yep.
We both sort of left that job as art directors. You were on the product side. I was on the marketing side with Emily, who was on the podcast a few episodes ago.
Love her.
Yeah, we just became good friends. We realized we both liked a lot of the same music. We both play the drums. We love comics. We would go see a lot of the Avengers movies together. I think we got a little emotional during one of them. It was wonderful when those mechanical arms came out of Spider-Man in
I will never
Infinity
forget
Wars.
that. I think
It
I
was a
hit your leg
beautiful,
like 11
beautiful
times in
moment.
a row. I'm like, what is going on?
You were freaking out, and I was too,
Ugh.
and it was amazing. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you? I know you like to go to Yosemite a lot. Like, what are the things you're into? Like, work aside.
Work aside, hell yeah. I like to talk anything but work. Or anything except sort of work. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, Yosemite. Love Yosemite. We were just there. Actually, we've gone twice so far just this year. We went I can't remember the date, but maybe sometime in January, let's just say, when it was like nice and snowy in the valley. And then we went a couple of weeks ago with a buddy of mine. And the first time ever, we typically always have like a campsite, but we just did the kind of drive up, first come, first serve, campsite
Cool.
4, something like that. It was so dope. And you just like, you have to pack or like walk everything in. You don't have like this like actual campsite, like where you can drive up and whatnot. It was really chill. And then we're going again at the end of April to a new campsite again that we've never been. Really pumped on that. But yeah, so Yosemite, love that. Love everything about it. I think I've done almost every single hike that you could possibly do, at least from the valley floor. And then another big old passion of mine that's become one since like last June is disc golf. I am like all about. Like you can't see them, but like those are my discs, right? You know what? No, this is how much I'm.
Go get them. Go get them. We need to see these discs.
Do it.
So, yeah,
I love
that's
it.
like
You have
woo-hoo!
wow.
like
Look at that.
and a nice
Oh my
little
God.
little spectrum. Like you typically don't house your discs like this. You would house them by like distance, fairway, mid-range putter, and all that. But I just like, I'm a designer, so they need to be like the color. I need that spectrum just perfect. So I'm like all about it. All about it. And like recently, like getting like custom dye ones too that are just like
Nice.
super dope.
Dude, that's so rad.
Oh my God. I had no idea this was like a thing. Like,
It's
I
a
know
big-
disc golf is a thing, but I didn't know someone would have a disc golf.
That's not even it.
rack.
You can't even see this. Like,
It's the armory.
Oh my God.
you go.
Jangles.
Wow.
and that sits inside, and like during like when I'm between meetings, I'll grab a disc out of that and just like sit down and
Oh my God.
toss it.
Okay,
It's
so
just
Amazing.
So for listeners, describe the contraption you just
Yes.
pulled out.
What is that?
Oh, for the listeners, yeah. So it's called a basket, and basically, I'm pretty sure like we're all aware of like ball golf. Maybe we've seen the golf, and like you hit that ball into the hole, like where the flag stick is at. Basically, you throw a disc and you throw it into a basket. A basket can consist of 24 chains. 12 inside, 12 outside, and you throw your disc into that basket, it catches it, and it falls into the basket down here, and then that's how you complete a hole.
Wow.
Like that's your objective, essentially.
Oh, got
So
it.
Dang,
you
dude.
throw from either you can throw from 200 feet, 180 feet, all the way up to like 900, 1,000 feet, and then your goal, just like in ball golf, you have a set amount of shots that you have in order to make what's called par. And it's like the same concept, but you're throwing a disc or a frisbee essentially.
That's awesome.
I'm like all into it.
I love it.
So
I
like
love it so much.
I've never played it. I'm honestly afraid of my power when it comes to like a frisbee or a disc of any kind. I just like, I have a lot of power, but I don't have this thing called like accuracy or or control.
Called accuracy.
Yeah, like skill. I just like to throw the circle in the air and watch the circle fly away. And I go, bye circle, plastic circle.
Yeah,
And
so that I love it because I was there with you, and there it was I don't know 3 years ago, and I was trying. We were just playing frisbee, like throwing an actual like big old frisbee. So there is like a distinction between discs and frisbee, just because they're like actually made for being thrown like far and like, low and whatnot, and fast. Whereas like a frisbee that you would just take out on the beach is going to be a little bit larger, bigger, and it'll glide or float a little bit more, easier to catch. You do not want to catch these; they would hurt.
So it's strictly for just like baskets,
and
pretty
much self-defense. It sounds like.
They can be, but we can get really into it because then there's different plastics on top of it. And like I already went through like distance, fairway, mid range, and putters and approach. But then it goes plastics, and then every company is different and whatnot. But before I go any further with that, because I could talk forever on that. A few years ago, I could not throw a frisbee for the life of me, and that's coming from a person who I played quarterback back in the day. Like I was the quarterback for high school and whatnot. Nice. And so I know how to throw a football pretty dang well. I know how to throw a baseball pretty well too. Never was a pitcher; I was first baseman, but still, you have to be pretty accurate. Frisbees, no. And I remember we were just playing with. I was watching my friends play. And I was like, "Oh, let me throw," and I tried to throw it, and literally, like, let's just say you guys. I'm trying to throw right to you guys, right in front of me. It went directly right. And not only did it go directly right, it went over my buddy's house and then landed on the roof of his like neighbor that was like behind it. And so since then, like I like never wanted to touch disc golf. Like I don't know, I can't throw a frisbee. This is ridiculous. But as with anything, it just takes time. You learn, you work through those uncertainties and whatnot, and you create a passion for that. And I created a passion for this, and I just want to get better. And now I can like shape shots a little bit. Trees are still very scary.
Disc golf is your passion.
Oh, 100%.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So,
Dude,
okay,
I love it so much.
So this is actually really interesting given that we're talking about imposter syndrome. So just going back a second. So when you threw that frisbee the first time and it was like, bye, Adrian, I'm going away now. And it landed on this roof to live. How long ago was that?
That was about 3, 4 years. Three or four, maybe 5 years ago. But I love that because I would love to tie that into imposter syndrome because I threw that disc and then realized, wow, I'm really fucking shitty at this. I should never do it again because I don't want to be humiliated like that again. Even though I was with friends, I was around people who loved me, who cared about me, who were just like, they laughed it off. One of my buddies, like he rolled on the ground laughing. He actually, luckily the person, the house that I threw it up on wasn't there. He just got on the roof, jumped up, grabbed it. It was no big deal. But I swear, like, it's so interesting. I threw that. I was like, I'm done, gang. I'm just gonna watch. I'm just gonna watch. And so instead of like what you should have done, or what I like, what you should have done is like, no, let me see the disc again, or the frisbee. Let me try to throw. Let me get those reps in. Let me get better at that. Completely shut down. I want to get away from this embarrassment. I don't want to be seen as a fool. And like I said, like I had played football, baseball. I know how to throw things. And it was just massively embarrassing, and to the point that it was just crippling. I never touched another disc in it for years. So I don't. It's interesting to that point. It's like, little do you know though, like if you cut yourself off immediately and don't allow yourself to just explore and just be vulnerable and understand that you don't have to be perfect first time out. Really good things can come of that, and I have a brand new passion because of that. And it's something I just played yesterday, and it was fun. It was a blast. I got to play with a buddy of mine. I'm gonna go out today and go play again. So it's it's just a fascinating thing what that imposter syndrome
Yeah,
or what that
totally.
kind of lack of self-confidence can really do.
I was at Comic-Con years ago. Okay, not years ago. Like 5 years ago. That's like that warrants 1 years ago. Okay. All right.
1 years ago.
I'm pedantic now. And I was listening to this talk by this comic book writer, Kelly Sue DeConnick. She's really famous for sort of taking Captain Marvel, turning her into what we know her as today. She's also written some other fantastic comic books. And she was giving a lecture about craft. And she was talking to a lot of writers who their skill sets varied, but they wanted to move forward in their discipline in some respect. And she was like, the thing is, you have to have the courage to suck.
Yeah.
You have to have the courage to suck. It's a temporary thing. With time it gets better, you get sharpened, but you have to have that courage. And I like that. It's always stuck with me because she's correct. It when you're getting better at something, it does require courage because you're not going to be great. You're going to throw the frisbee into the roof or into the freeway or cause an accident, and then a bunch of people die, and then you go to jail. Anyways, sorry. I have anxiety, so I'm not a catastrophic thinker. But
I know my vision of because I remember you telling me about this, Adrian. I was like, dude, you want to get into archery with me? And you're like, God. Yes, only if you get into disc golf with me.
Yep.
And so we have yet to to cross into each other's worlds.
It's gonna happen.
But when you were telling me about it, I was picturing you like all hippied out, probably a couple hacky sacks in your pocket, and like one frisbee that maybe you got at Target like a long time ago, and you're like just going out in the woods and like tossing it in these like little buckets. But I stand corrected. That image was very incorrect. And when you pulled up those frisbees, I thought of that Wayne's World line where he's like, why did you get me a gun rack? I don't even have a gun, let alone many guns to necessitate a gun rack. And if someone got me that bag, that's probably what I would say about frisbees. So you do have many frisbees that would necessitate a frisbee rack. And I'm very proud of you.
I have many.
I have
a whole basket filled with ones that I just never play with. They just stay there.
It's amazing. I'm proud of you.
So before we sort of like transition, keep moving forward with imposter syndrome, I have one last like really important disc golf question.
Yeah.
Xena, the warrior princess.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see how this connects.
Do you think she'd be good at disc golf? No, she had her fucking circular.
That's right.
Disc.
Dude. Xena was the best.
And throw like do you I wonder.
I'm trying to remember how she threw it. Maybe.
Yeah. This is great.
There's so many different ways you can throw the disc. There's backhand, forehand. You can throw like tomahawks.
And then there's the like cool guy in the beach version.
Wait a minute.
Like this?
Did you say tomahawks?
Yeah. So you
like
you
axes?
grab it. No. So you take a disc, and
you throw it like a tomahawk.
You throw it over, and what happens is it like has this like interesting flight pattern that can be useful in like windy situations or when you have to get over a tree or out of a bush or something like that.
So I'm curious though, like when you see those guys at the beach and they're like super cool, Yeah. And they like,
I think Adrian's
like that.
They just flick
they
it.
bite their bottom lip. They flick it like that. Is that legit, or is that like to be cool? Is it vanity, or is it legit form?
That's legit form. Like it just depends on what you want. So like you have the backhand where you're gonna actually like run into that throw across your body, and then if you were gonna like flick it like that, that's just like a 1-2 step in and just kind of like throw it. That's funny enough though. You can get you got to be careful with forehand because you can get what is it called? Pitcher's elbow or something like that. I forget what it's
Whoa.
called. You
Dang.
can like really mess up your elbow.
Oh, my old frisbee golf injury.
Yeah, right.
Flaring up on me.
Oh no. Oh goodness.
Oh man, this is great. This is great.
I
This is great content, guys.
no, I know. I'm just kind of
Is
thinking
it?
about it.
Solid content. I love
Well,
it.
I wasn't like super athletic growing up, and I've dabbled in like a bunch of random shit since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like disc golf, there's a version of me in the multiverse that plays disc golf.
I think it's an amazing
feel it.
amazing sport. So I
And it-
grew up playing all sports. Oh yeah, sorry Brian, go for it. My
Well,
bad.
no, I was just gonna say it goes back to Xena for me because like
Everything.
I just
All
think-
roads lead to Xena.
Oh.
it's true. It's I just imagine, or I just think it's so cool her throwing that disc. I want to be Xena.
Yeah.
You know,
As you should. It's the most
Yeah.
beautiful community. Like I was saying, like I grew up playing all sports, basketball, actual like ball golf, baseball, soccer, football, all of that. And it's like so competitive, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm just not a competitive person. I'm competitive with myself, but like people just get angry and there's like vitriol at other like oh, like how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you score on me? Like, oh, I'm gonna hit you. And but like with actual disc golf, the community is beautiful. It's like, oh, we don't care. Yeah, you're chill. Like that was a great throw. Way to go, dude. Like
Yeah.
there's no such thing as a bad toss because any toss is a good toss because it's making progression. It's going like not only is it
like
making
that.
you better as a player, but you're actually literally making progression towards the basket. Unless you have what's called grip lock and you throw it completely to the right like I did.
Yeah,
it still doesn't
yeah.
matter. There's like you're learning and you can learn from that. And the community of disc
Totally.
golf is just so chill and beautiful. It's been
Yeah.
really lovely to be a part of.
Yeah, I think that's so key. Like I know we kind of touched on it at the very beginning, but like just finding stuff to do outside of work that like is still like fun and recreational, but like there's a little bit of like, hey, I'm gonna try to get good at this, and it's completely different than what I do when I clock in during the day.
Yeah.
And I think that's like really good just for like the soul and like proving to yourself like, hey, like I can try new things and get good at it. I think that's awesome, man. I love it.
It's
so cool.
That part's been it's a lot of fun, to just learn a new craft, new whatever, thing.
Totally.
yeah,
That's
it's
great.
rad.
Yeah.
So, like, in thinking about, all of this, and it's interesting to see kind of imposter syndrome in miniature through the lens of disc golf. But now, in thinking about it in terms of this fucking thing we call work and career and all of that, I guess first, before I ask that, for people who don't know, Adrian, what are you doing these days? What kinds of problems are you solving? Like, walk us through it.
Yeah. So I work for a company called Product Plan. We're a road mapping software. So we help visualize problems instead of using spreadsheets or various tools out there. We consolidate it into one kind of visual UI, or that's what UI is, but like a visual encapsulation of like what that data looks like. And so like, hey, I want to see when is something supposed to be due, how long it's going to take. I don't have to go through 400 lines or rows in a data sheet. I can just go look at a timeline, what we call it, and just like there's these little like a Gantt chart or something like that, see where it's going to when something's going to be due or anything like that. But for them, my official title, it's kind of funny because I've just talked with my boss. We're kind of rethinking what my title is, but I am the art director there. It's the only title right now that makes sense because I oversee product design, research to a less extent. I have some people that I manage that are working on research, and I'm trying to help facilitate that. And then I oversee our marketing design and branding. So we're a startup. If that does, obviously we wear many hats. So I have, we wear many hats. But what's really nice is being able to kind of not only see what product is doing, but see what marketing is doing and help influence each other. And like back in the day, we didn't have that, and they weren't married with one another. And so you would sign up for product plan from like the marketing site, go into the app, and there was no connection, like a completely different. So it's been fun. So yeah, art director. I manage 2 product designers, a marketing designer, and a marketing developer. So because I come from development past, I used to be a web developer for many years, front end developer. So that's kind of like where my forte is, or forte when it comes to design. I'm not so much on that UX side. So that's things, speaking of imposter syndrome, where I get scared to talk about, like the research and the UX, because that's just not where I can talk about data. I can talk about like building the site and designing it. I'm there. I'm right there with you. I can design, or I can build it for you. But that research side is where I really lean heavily on my team to kind of help guide me and teach me. And that's been sobering and humbling. Because speaking, like, I can just... You guys got to stop me because I can keep talking. Because the thing about
no, I'm all listening. Okay,
no, this is great,
so
man.
like, no, so
I can go.
No, that's same, dude. I'm the same way. So I guess so you're an art director. You have these roots as a product designer, thinking like you're deeply entrenched in data. Now, I guess a good like first question here is, looking at the long arc of your career, which includes everything before this, where do you remember imposter syndrome first showing up? And it could even be before your professional life. Like sometimes it starts in school. I don't know, but just like where did it show up for you first?
I know exactly when it showed up. It was right when I was transitioning between my first gig to my second gig. Because when I was going through college and even before then, I just did what I needed to do. I didn't really like think of it. And I remember showing up to my first interview. I was in shorts and a t-shirt, and I was just like, here. Nice. So like, this is what I do. This is my portfolio. And that's when you actually had like a physical portfolio and not a website. Like, this is my work. And I walked out confident. I was like, I don't know. Like, I didn't know you had to wear pants and like have a nice button-up shirt. I didn't think of that. But then, so I spent like 4 years at my first gig, and I was transitioning to a startup, and I lost it because at the gig that I was at, I didn't, because you don't know what you don't know, and as you just go through life, you just like randomly start picking things up, and if you don't take inventory on that, you just don't really appreciate what you have as far as like talents or skills and whatnot. And at the gig, I was the marketing designer. I was a web designer, web developer. I would work with our engineers, and so I was doing all these things. And when I transitioned from that gig to my next, I was going to go from a web designer, senior web designer, doesn't matter, to a product designer, and I lost my shit. I was like, I don't know how that, what? You want me to do what now? I don't know how to do that. That doesn't make any sense. Like when you see it written on paper, it's like,
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, like what does crossing that gap require? Like what's the difference between the two sort of paths there? Like when you're jumping into product?
Well, it's the exact same, to be honest. It was just a different name.
Yeah.
Like we didn't call it product design back in the day. We didn't call it UX design. It was web design. It was graphic design. It was a web developer. Yeah. It wasn't research. It was just go talk to people or get feedback from the community. Like we have now like these specific words and these specific titles, which are great because we're actually now recognizing what an individual does.
Well, subject matter expertise is a process. And there is this expectation sometimes, or we often put it on ourselves, that when we go into a new role or a new project or something, that all of the subject matter expertise is checked off, like we have it. And when I'm thinking through that, what I think about? I think about doctors. when I'm going in for a checkup, right? Something like that. We're checking in. And there's something the doctor doesn't know. Generally, my doctor's great. Like, he's not going to say, "Oh, I know this thing," when he doesn't know it. He goes, "I don't know. Let's find out."
Yeah.
Or he pulls out his little note card. He has, like, like a big miniature binder note card thing, and he like flips through some stuff, and he goes and finds the information he needs.
Yeah.
And it's something I think about. Like, it's unfortunate that, especially like myself, I will, like yourself, Adrian, I will sometimes put this weight on me that's like, okay, I need to have all the subject matter expertise, but it's like,
Yeah.
acquiring the knowledge is an evolving process.
Totally. And I think the way to do that is, I'm curious what you think about this, Adrian, like the difference between coming to the table with the answer or an answer, and how that can, I think, internally like help you like work against that imposter for yourself, but even for other people. Because if you're coming to the table and you're saying, hey, we could do this, not we should do this, then I know when people do that in meetings or working sessions or whatever, it makes me feel like I can contribute something too, because they're basically inviting that, like how have you seen that play out, and what has that been like for you?
That is just, I love, it's beautiful. So I had an old boss, John, you're good friends with him. So August, and he's taught me one good thing, or he's taught me many great things. Fucking love that guy. But one thing on this is coming to the table with a solution. Dude. Oh, he's solid. No, like coming to no, you're coming with a solution, and if you don't have the answer, you don't have to scramble in that time. A very simple thing he told me is like, you know what? Let me get back to you on that. Let me go explore and get back. So it's like because we don't have to have all the answers, and your boss is gonna throw throw a wrench into the and just see what happens. You don't have to have it all. It's like, oh, let me get back to you, and like having that ownership of then taking back and then refining it. It just, for me, I can only speak for me right now. It's just like that has just made me a better designer, because then it's just like I don't have to have all the answers. We collectively can come to a solution that we feel is going to be the best one at this time. But then knowing that we're going to evolve, change, test, and fix things. So that has been really huge, of just saying, you know what, I have to get back to you on that. I don't know, and having the confidence, the strength to do that. Because before I would just sit there, mumble, and stutter,
Okay, so I wanna hit on that a little bit. So when you're thinking about this before, right? How, what did it look like for you to change your relationship with imposter syndrome? Because it sounds like there's an evolution. So can you walk us through that a little bit?
Uncertainty sucks, and I think that just sucks for everyone. But being able to embrace uncertainty actually just gives you more strength. Knowing that, man, because I still struggle this today. I mean, honestly, I gave a talk a year ago at my job 2 years ago about this, and then I got an outpouring of just like, wow, I suffer from this too, and like, oh my gosh, like how do you get over it? And it's hard for me, because it's just it's just how my mind works. I don't get over it, but I do I lean on my past experiences, knowing that I am here for a reason. I am here because my peers want me here, and you just keep telling yourself that. And then I don't really have an answer for that, because I suffer today. Like coming on to here, I was talking with my wife, like, why am I doing this? I don't have anything to offer. I have nothing to offer, and I was stressed. My heart was racing. I feel like I'm an idiot. Like, why am I doing this? No one's going to glean anything from what I have to say. It's just going to be ramblings from some random person on the internet. So for me,
totally.
for me, you work around people that you know and you like and you trust, and that takes time. I've worked with my boss now for about over a decade. I've been very fortunate to work with people who have been very loving and caring. John Delman's one of them, August Kriowski, Susan Rice, Mark Barbier, all of these individuals who have really helped shape and like lift me up to make sure, like not to make sure, but to like to know that like what I have to say or what I have to bring or what I have to offer is meaningful and wanted.
Yeah.
And, I don't really know if I'm answering the question. Again,
No,
right now I have imposter syndrome right here, gang.
No, okay, so I want
to thing.
Yeah, John, go for it. But well, I do want to say, I'm like, John, go for it, but I'm like, yo. So there's something really, really vital with what you said. It's uncertainty. Uncertainty sucks. And uncertainty doesn't go away. And it seems like what's changed too is your relationship with uncertainty itself and how you engage and embrace uncertainty. And you're like, okay, the idea and the feeling of uncertainty is getting more and more familiar.
Yeah.
So it's like how to dive into that. I mean, the fact that you were like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. Like, I'm just gonna like say what? Like, why are they talking to me? But the fact that you still showed up, you still came on, and then you're still, pretty damn articulate. Like, I don't know, you still embrace the uncertainty, which is great.
John, I mean, you have to embrace uncertainty. If you don't embrace it, you don't grow, you don't evolve, you don't get better. You can just become a shell of yourself. But if you get into it and you know what, like this is gonna fucking suck. Like I thought this was gonna like not suck because like this is awesome. It was gonna like internally my brain, like my chest is just gonna go crazy. Like, oh, this is gonna suck. I'm gonna be clam up. I'm already sweating right now. But it's like embrace that shit. Because that's the only time that you're going to be able to learn. And then with you too, this is like a great example of it. You don't want me to fail. You're not setting me up for failure. And like, so to be able to embrace that uncertainty, knowing the people around you care and only want the best of you, just, you gotta lean into that really hard sometimes, because if you don't, you're just not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You don't show up. You don't. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I was going to kind of touch on earlier. And it's that like this whole thing that we're doing with the podcast, it's like, try to break it down, you slay it, you try to make sense of it, you're taming it. And then there's the like love, right? Where you're embracing these monsters. And I think that causes us to do that deconstruction of what these things mean, to really get to the core of it. And I think from what I'm hearing from all of this and what I've been kind of thinking, it seems like imposter syndrome is like the negative manifestation of humility, because we all have that somewhere in us. And when that starts, that humility, because humility is just like, I don't know everything. Like, I'm not like gonna, pretend I'm the best, but that humility can kind of like creep into the negative, and it becomes this like imposter, like I'm not good enough to do that, which is kind of a humble thing, but it's the negative side of that. And we've done egomaniac in the past. And I think what can happen is people are like, well, I don't want to like feel what that imposter syndrome feels like. So then you might be someone who like goes the other way, where it's like you get hit with that sense of humility. You put yourself out there, you feel vulnerable, and it sucks. And you're like, oh, I'm just going to be like, I'm best at everything, and it's another direction where that can stem. And I think imposter is when it goes the other way. So I don't know how you feel about that, and what it means to go, yes, that's what it is. And I think the imposter syndrome is like the action of that humble monster or humble creature that is starting to act out in a negative way. And if we can separate that like imposter away from it, it really is the same. It's the same monster, but it's humility at the core. And like, what does that look like for you, and how have you experienced that?
That just blew my mind, because it's like, what I believe I'm pretty humbled to a fault. I don't like taking credit, but I'll take all the blame, or I'll take like, like if I mess up or if I fuck up. Yeah. But if I did something really good, like, oh no, I could have done it better. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like I've
Yeah.
heard this like so many times. Like, I remember like in my interview at MindBody, I could design and then I can also build. Like, I know how to code a website. It's like, wait, you know how to do that? It's like, oh yeah, but it's not hard. It's not that. I mean, it's not that. It's easy. Like anyone can do it. Like it's not whatever. But then you come to learn, it's like, no, that's actually a pretty good skill to have there, dude. Like, you need to like to embrace that and be able to speak to it, or you just like clam up and then you can't. What I resent, or what I not resent, but what I wish I could take back, or if I had a time machine, is to open up a little bit more, to be able to teach a little bit more, because I take a lot of what I have for granted to a fault. And it's just like, no, I'm not that great. I'm here because it's just happenstance. But it's like, no, like, so I don't know. I'm still kind of, I'm still blown away though, because by that, John. I think that's a beautiful way of putting that. It is literally imposter syndrome. Is the monster of humility, like what it can become. Because that's one thing I can stand here and say without a shadow of a doubt is I'm humble. I know that, but maybe too much.
I'm the most humble person in the world.
I know, right? That sounded really silly, but it's so true though. To a very like in a negative way. Like I don't take credit for anything ever.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? I'm sure you have, but curious. Like, have you seen that surface through the people that you manage, the people that you're mentoring, and what have you done in those situations?
So. You're your own worst critic. I treat myself like really horribly. I treat my peeps amazing. I tell them constantly. It's like, I want you to fail. Failure is learning. It's like, if you fail, that's awesome. I'm gonna be right there to pick you back up, and we're gonna fucking tackle this thing. And so when it comes to that,
So
I take
kind.
that. I take my people very seriously, and I treat them. I need to start treating myself like that. We can get into a therapy thing, but I tell them it's like, because I live with this. Like, imposter syndrome sucks. Like, I have I'm always thinking these negative thoughts, but I will not push that out to another person. That's something that I'm going to take for myself, and I'm only going to build my team up or whomever I'm working with and just give them nothing but praise, knowing what their intentions are. I've had situations where there's been ill intent, and that's a different conversation that you have to have with your employees or whatnot. But if they mean well and are trying to solve whatever it might be, it's just, I don't know, anything and everything is great. I just had this, I just had a meeting 2 weeks ago. We're doing a project in marketing, and I had my senior designer kind of do the talk, and she presented and did a lovely job. And my heart was just like filled with so much enjoyment. I just reached out and was like, "Wow, I'm so, like, you did such a great job. I am so insanely proud of you for whatever that's worth to you." And it's just like that constant positive reinforcement is something that I don't know where I'm going with this, gang, because it's like getting I'm starting to get a little emotional, but I don't. I don't know. I
totally understand.
I don't do that with myself. But I make sure that the people around me have what they need to succeed.
So, okay, so there's a lot of interesting things here. So, whoops, I was leaning back from my mic. Okay, so there's a few things that have come up, right? When we're talking about imposter syndrome, there's this idea of uncertainty. There is also this idea of failure and having a relationship with failure. As we're identifying and learning how to have this relationship with imposter syndrome today, like, what are some of these component parts of imposter syndrome that we should be like thinking through? I think uncertainty, failure, I think those are some really interesting things. But like, what are some of the other things that like feed it?
Just a lack of knowledge or the perceived lack of knowledge, because like for it like. Like, oh, we need to redesign this. Adrian, what do you think? And it's like, oh, what do you? I don't know. Why are you coming to me? It's like I don't have. But it goes back to not having the you have like that's the thing. Okay, now I'm just like I have the answers, but I am my my own blocker. Like why am I talking? I don't have the answers, but like they're coming to me for a reason, and there's a reason there. Like, I have that knowledge, the history, and whatnot, and just being able to allow that or accept yourself to allow that. I
mean, and you do have the answers. Like even talking about, of course, this isn't a blanket statement like Adrian. You always have the answer for every question. But like even today, right? You're able to succinctly kind of identify some of these.
I think I answered 2 questions successfully. So let's go.
You're
killing
let's
it, dude.
go.
You're killing it.
I love it. See, and then you're keeping your own scorecard. So it's like, so what would it? Okay, so what would it? Fuck it. I'm just gonna ask it like this. What would it look like to talk to yourself the same way you talk to your team when thinking through things like failure, uncertainty, lack of knowledge?
Oh man, so let's get really into therapy stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
No.
Tell me about your childhood.
Yeah. So what would it look like if I treated myself the same way I treat my employees? Is that the simply okay?
Yep.
Well, oh God, I can't allow myself to be like that because I don't practice what I preach. I'll just say it that much. I don't allow myself to fail. If I do fail, I wear that like a scarlet letter, or like really weighs on me.
Yeah. Totally.
I'm very unforgiving of myself because I just, especially since I've become a manager, like I need to be there for my team, and that's all that matters. I don't have time to allow myself to be the way that I am with my team. Because I have to have those answers. I always have to be on. There is no forgiveness. But what's interesting though, now that I'm just like talking, like that can manifest some very negative things into my team, because if I'm here just always downplaying or talking down to myself, and if I'm doing that like in a meeting or something, what is that doing to my team? How are they perceiving that? How are they latching onto my words? So that is something that I still work on, is allowing myself grace, allowing myself to fail, trying to just like drink the Kool-Aid that I keep preaching to my team. But it's
good Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
I like to think so, but I can't bring myself to drink it quite yet.
There's some vitamins in there, man.
There is, man.
Bone strength. It's
good vitamins.
What this word failure keeps coming up.
Yep.
I think all 3 of us here have had our own relationship with this idea of failure. But Adrian, what does it mean for something to enter the territory of failure? Like what does failure look like for you? Like, or how do you qualify a failure?
Yeah.
This is going to sound so silly too. And I know it sounds silly. Failure is not having the right solution to a problem, for me, and not having that from the get-go. So not having all the answers. Like I need to have all the answers, and not having that, failure. And then that kind of like stops me from like it clouds my judgment. I can't make another process. I talking about August, one of my old bosses. He was great. It's like, and I have like improved because of him in this. It's like, because I was really bad at marketing design, because for me, I'm a product designer. I think very analytically. Everything needs to be just so. Pixels, everything need to be perfect. The code needs to be perfect. And he's like, you're a fucking idiot. Just design. Just throw something on the page and work with it. Like, just have fun with it, dude. Like, if you can't be comfortable designing, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, just relax. So
I can guarantee you he didn't say it that way. That's how Adrian heard it.
And then he
Yeah.
threw a
That's-
chair over Adrian's back.
Yeah.
no, okay.
Well,
So
I think
if I can put on August, it's like, yo, dude, you just gotta like have fun, man. I don't know if he says dude.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, but like, no. So, oh shit, I forget what the question was. Failure, right?
So
What
how
is
do you,
failure?
you're qualifying failure? So for you, it's like when you don't have all the answers from the get-go, where you don't.
I don't have the answers,
solution.
or I feel like I'm not qualified to do it. So, like, even before I start, like, right now we're trying to define. We're at a startup, so or like a small company. We don't really have a research like department set, and so we're trying to figure that out. Well, I already think it's a failure because I don't know that much about it. When really what I should be doing is leaning on individuals who actually have the answers, and then glean and work with them to create something, which is what we're doing. But like, I immediately just clammed up. This is like I'm not suited for this. This is ridiculous. Failure. Even before I even like put a finger to the keyboard to start like typing out a document. But yeah.
Yeah. I this is interesting, like breaking it apart like this and thinking through like the features of it, whether it's like the negative side of humility, how it encompasses failure, uncertainty of not knowing what the right answers are. And so I think this is why this show is really fun for me, because it allows us to take all of these thoughts and say, what does this thing look like, and kind of give ourselves that visual, because I think once we do that, otherwise it feels like this like mush inside of us, like all these monsters we can't visualize and we can't like see them, and so it just feels like they're like ingrained and embedded in us. But once you like call it something, you can set it over here and you can talk about it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious
That's
with
Doctor Strange shit. Okay, sorry.
yeah. So with all of this stuff, like what taking a lot of these features, like I'm curious, like this is kind of the fun part. What does this look like to you? Like what would an imposter monster look like to you?
Oh, good. This is fun.
This is fun. Yeah.
I think an imposter would be Hades from God of War. Basically walking, having those chains around his arms that are connected to like these like meat cleavers that he slings out, catches you and drags you in. So, and what's even better, actually, now that I'm talking out loud, what's even better is like, what if you were trying to get out of hell? And then like hell is in your own mind. Like,
damn, dude, you took it there. You just went.
Yeah. And then Hades is like, no, get the fuck back here. I'm gonna like, you're coming back down to my level, and then you just can't escape that. And every time you see the light, it gets brighter and brighter. That little fucker just comes down and drags you back down. It's like, what? God damn it! And then you got to fight it off, and you got it this cyclical, and you start all over again. Yeah. So there you go. That's
interesting. Yeah, because you would think like when it first thought, it's like, oh, something with like a mask, right? Because you're like. Maybe that plays into it, but I think what's interesting about what you're saying, it's like so much more about what it like feels like, what it feels like Imposter does to us. And I don't know, Brian, do you have any like thoughts about what
honestly,
it could be?
Once you started describing it, and I was all these demons and stuff, and then I said Doctor Strange. There is this. So Adrian, I'm a big comic book boy as well. And there's this line, this run of Doctor Strange comics by a writer named Jason Aaron, and you find out that Doctor Strange is absorbing all of these weird entities and eating these extra dimensional things, and what imposter syndrome means to me is like, I imagine like a Doctor Strange-esque figure, and then you open his cloak, and there's like all of these like demons and shit that he's absorbed that are part of him, and like and twisted into himself, and you still see it's Doctor Strange, but there's these things twisted inside of him. It's a little horrific, but
no, that's good. Yeah, I did take it to the feeling way, but I like that. Like, what is the that external? What does it look like?
My thought was uh, and it'll be a fun thing to figure out with Kevin, like what this illustration and monster looks like. But one thing, as we were talking about, I got this like image of like a werewolf, because it was like, if it's us, what that, like when the full moon comes up, like what that represents is sort of like those moments of failure where you're like, it's coming and you can't help it, and you just turn into like this like weird maniac version of yourself. Like that's what it feels like inside. Like you're just literally turning into something else, and you can feel like your body temperature rise, your pulse like start to go up, and you're like sweating, and you're like maybe even having a panic attack or like shit like that. And it's like,
panic
like
attacks,
werewolf, like that
Oh,
moon,
yeah.
just like, it's that moment of
That's-
like facing that failure, and you're like, and it's like this imposter thing from within starts to like play out on the outside, and how we act and how we even like visually look sometimes. It's kind of interesting.
It would be really funny to. This sounds like some what we do in the shadows stuff, but like to just have a werewolf with imposter syndrome. Like when he turns into a werewolf, he like fully has imposter syndrome.
yeah.
He's just like, and he like tries to howl at the moon. He's like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, like you're a werewolf, you can do it. And he's like, I don't think I can do a good job.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, come on.
Slap
That has
a
some
New
legs.
Zealand
That's
accent
beautiful.
on there, and it's
Yes.
like an amazing
Yeah.
character.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is,
Like, come on, bud.
Wow, that's really good.
like the main dude from he was like the manager in Flight of the Conchords, and now he's like the gentleman pirate in This Flag Means Death. It's like a new
I
Taika
need to see
show.
that movie.
That guy, he's like redhead. I could see him being
Yeah.
the imposter or werewolf. That'd be like the funniest thing.
Oh my gosh, why can't I remember his name? Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
can't
the
remember.
manager from
Yeah,
no,
he's
wait,
like the
Flight of the Conchords.
because
the
he's
manager
like
from
always
that one?
like, you can tell he's
Yeah.
like trying to
Well,
like
ate it.
pretend he knows
what
what's
is it?
going on, but like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's
Was there an
fun.
animal
Same
guest
hurry,
star?
but-
Is there what?
Oh, was there an animal guest star? You looked down. I thought there was like a cat or something. I got really excited.
Oh no.
Oh,
And his and Adrian's
Yeah.
Adrian
In mine?
has cats.
No,
He's-
all
he's a
of
cat
my
dad.
Cats, I think they're all outside.
Sick.
Free
Oh.
range.
Asking
No.
him this.
Nice.
Oh, you can't see, but one of them
Yeah.
is on my wife's lap right now.
Nice. Well, what are I feel like we've done due diligence on this monster. I'm curious, Adrian,
Yeah.
what is your favorite monster right now? Movies, comics, whatever. What's your favorite or scariest monster? Coolest monster?
Shoot. Oh my gosh. You can't. Okay. See, I really wanted what is it? Morbius, right? I really wanted that.
Morbius,
Wasn't
yeah.
it Morbius? Yeah. I
Yeah,
wanted that to
Morbius.
be
I
good.
heard. Yeah, I heard.
And
I'm
they
sorry.
like.
I think I got like 1 star or something.
Oh, if I have to do my favorite monster, and if we're just gonna do people, it's gonna be and I'm blanking on his name right now, but the main antagonist in No Country for Old Men, because what's so freaking
Interesting.
what's so
Gun?
Yeah.
yes, what's so scary is just the disassociation of just like human interaction and like not having any empathy, like no empathy, no nothing,
Yeah.
like that synapse just is not working. That to me is the scariest thing, because
Creepy.
a monster is a monster. It looks like, I can see that that's creepy. That dude just looks like a normal dude and then just walks up and just murders you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably
That's
took that a different way,
actually-
but that's that. I think for right, if I'm off the top of my head right
Yeah.
now, that's my scariest monster.
Cattle prod
Yeah.
dude is such a good.
The whole gas
Cameron,
station
how about-
scene,
yeah.
flips a coin. Oh my god.
incredible, just incredible shit. John, do you have any monsters right now you're thinking about?
I totally had that brain fart moment, because I was like thinking I had one in mind, and then it totally dropped. This
Can I
is
say
is
mine?
like, for some reason I'm just gonna
Make
say what was on
yours.
top of my mind, because this is a little different. This is a weird one to like think about, and it popped in my mind because we're talking about Morbius, and so I started thinking about We Crashed, because Jared Leto is like playing.
Oh,
So it's the WeWork show.
documentary?
Yeah, and this
For
might
show,
be
yeah.
another monster for another show, because it's not him, it's not the actual guy. I think it's a really, if you guys haven't seen it, it's a really cool show. And I like it when stuff like that comes out where it's about real people and a real thing that happened, but it's not really trying to slam anyone. I really appreciate that because, dude, we're all fucking humans and
Exactly.
crazy stuff happens. Even when we do bad shit, we should pay for that, you know? Like, but even then, we're all humans. And, you know, the WeWork stuff, like, you know, most people know, but it didn't work out, basically. And hence the title, you know, we crashed. I haven't finished it yet, but basically, like, the main character is, and I'm totally blanking on his name, but
Mr. Work.
plays, yeah,
Mr.
William
he plays
Work.
like the main
It's
dude.
William Work.
Yeah, who is like getting this WeWork thing going, and like him not being the monster, but I think the monster that's playing into, he's just like has these delusions of grandeur, and maybe they're, you know, not delusions, maybe it's like visions of grandeur, but it's the idea of what happens. I deal with this a lot. I'm always like, I have an idea. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to start a coffee shop. There's like concept I have. There's like, it's called records, and like you walk in and there's like record players everywhere, and people walk in and bring their headphones and this is records, drink coffee. And I'm like, okay. And then I buy the .com or the .co, and I have like it's like when someone runs up a bar tab and the bartender's like, dude, I'm cutting you off. I feel like GoDaddy needs to do that to me because I've like dropped so many domains, and I'm like, dude, it's bad, you know? And like, I tend to do that a lot. And so when I was watching that, I was like, there's a monster. It's not him. It's what's inside. And it's causing, sometimes I think some of us like, we'll have ideas, but we want to act on them. And you're like, I could do that. I could do that. And I think it's tied to Imposter a little bit. So I don't know what that monster is, but it's like the delusions of grandeur monster. And I saw it come out in that show, and I'm like, dude, I freaking deal with that. And I need to pump the brakes a lot of times and just chill and be a human and enjoy life and go out to dinner with my wife and not try to like start 10,000 businesses in one day. And
I love these like really grounded responses, because especially what I'm about to say. So we have like Adrian saying like, I am terrified of man's capacity for violence and indiscriminate apathy. John's like, I'm terrified of these delusions of grandeur and what the acquisition of power looks like. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking about a dinosaur.
Yes, Brian, tell us about this dinosaur. You brought it up earlier before we hit record.
I know, I've been wanting to talk about this dinosaur the whole time. Okay, so it's a kind of dinosaur, and it really existed. It's a titanosaur. And it's like, think of, you know, long necks. It's in that realm. It's the dinosaur with the long necks. And why I'm thinking about it, and I need to run and get my charger, but we're chilling. I like risk. They were just so big.
Close us out.
Okay, dude, this is what I was sober when I thought this thought. I live in Santa Cruz, and I was not stoned, and I was like, I wonder what kind of dinosaurs were in Santa Cruz. And like, nice. I was just chilling yesterday. Yeah, like, I just naturally thought this, and I was like imagining, like, oh man, what kind of dinosaurs? So then I put on a stoner voice too, which is and I was actually distracting myself from work yesterday morning by doing this. So I was looking at different kind of dinosaurs. I was like, what are some of the weirdest, coolest dinosaurs? And I saw the titanosaur. The titanosaur. How am I pronouncing that? Anyways, it's like 100 feet long. Like, it's 3 or 4 times the size of an elephant. It's fucking huge. Just imagine a bunch of those just roaming around. Real life kaiju existed. Now, I'm a little disappointed because I looked up some science. California coast didn't have dinosaurs. Do you know why? Because the coastline was 100 miles east, closer to the Sierra Mountains. It was in the Sierra foothills. So this was all ocean. So during the what's it called? Fuck.
Also had
Jurassic. It's the Mesozoic. Yeah, the
Mesozoic,
Mesozoic era. It was which includes all like the 3 eras that comprise dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Everything was underwater here. So
Wow.
it wasn't dinosaurs. It was like fish lizards. So there wasn't.
Fish lizards.
So I'm really sad.
lizards.
It
because
sounds
there
like a
wasn't-
ska band. Yeah,
Fish
like
lizard?
in this band, we're like
Fish-
ska. We're called Fish Lizard.
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like. Anytime someone says something weird like that, in my head, I'm like, that sounds like a ska band name.
Okay, wait. I need to go.
like my
I need to go
go-to.
get a charger. I'll be right back.
I mean, I think this is good. I think. Well, I was gonna wrap
Oh,
up,
yeah.
but Brian
Wait,
left.
okay. Fuck. I'm back.
You're back.
I'm at
No,
10%.
Adrian, I think this has been an awesome episode. I really appreciate you joining. I know you were super nervous, and I was like, dude, let's do it. We've been talking about it for a while.
Super nervous. Yep.
Because you and I at MindBody, when we were back in the old days when we would work in the same building, I remember we would always like walk by each other and be like, "You want to take a lap?" And we would just like we could lean on each other. You know, we were buds, and we could be like, "Let's go outside. Let's walk around the campus." You know, take a break from our work and just like vent a little bit, or like it's just a problem we were trying to solve. And I think, I'm glad we can still chat about this stuff and
Amen to that.
get into it, man. I think
And-
that's the cure for imposter. Just talk to each
What
other.
I also, Adrian,
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge something too as a fellow anxiety panic boy. I appreciate you coming on here despite
Panic
feeling
Boys,
anxiety
another ska
and
band.
all of that. No, but
Panic
seriously,
Boys.
I do appreciate.
Yeah.
It's a lot to like enter into this situation and be super
Mm-hmm.
anxious and have that anxiety sort of heat, and so I appreciate it. It means a lot.
Thanks for
And I-
having me. I mean, it was fun to talk.
Yeah.
I like talking. It's funny. I like talking, but not when it's about anything important. I like talking when no one's gonna actually listen. I just like talking.
Well,
And I
I,
still
think
say
this has been an amazing episode.
I have 7% left.
We're gonna say goodbye to everybody out there. Do your best to take everything we're talking about, improve on it as you will, and just know that we all deal with imposter. And I think when we can talk about it, then we can probably get past it a little bit. And with that, I think after we sign off, let's go make some plans to start a ska band called the Panic Boys, because everyone's
Love
gonna be
it.
down
Or
to do
fish
that.
lizard.
So-
Fish lizard.
Fish Lizard. That'll be our first album, our debut album. So.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
All right, Adrian.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks
we
for
will
having
talk
me.
soon, man. Yeah. Have a
Hell
good
yeah,
one.
brother.
Love,
Yeah, you
love you,
too.
brother.
And Brian,
Um,
it's really great to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I will,
We all got to hang soon.
Oh, I love that. That'd be great.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, fellas.